like to welcome everyone to the June 1st meeting of the Newmarket Town Council, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So the first item on our agenda is for public forum. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak this evening? Seeing none, I will close public forum at 7:05. The next item on the agenda is for the public hearing, and that's for Resolution 2021-2022-33, authorizing the issuance of a bond for well water treatment facility. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak to that resolution? Seeing none,
we'll take the
yeah. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing at 7:05 p.m. The next item that we have are the meeting minutes from May 18th, and I would accept a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll move to approve the meeting minutes from May 18th.
I'll second.
Any questions, comments, changes? Seeing none, if you could call the roll, please.
Council Brayback?
Abstain.
Council Lamattina?
Aye.
Council Gladstone?
Aye.
Council Ward?
Aye.
Council Conley?
Aye.
Council Weinstein?
Abstain.
Motion passes 4-0-2.
Thank you. Before we move on, just two items that I forgot. One is I just wanted to mention that Councillor White is excused this evening. And then the other item is for us to seal the minutes of the non-public. So I would accept a motion to seal those minutes.
I'll move to seal the minutes of the non-public session.
I'll second.
Any questions? Seeing none, if you could call the roll, please.
Council Brayback?
Aye.
Council Lamattina?
Aye.
Council Gladstone?
Aye.
Council Ward?
Aye.
Council Conley?
Aye.
Council Weinstein?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Now I just need to go back to my agenda. The next item is for the report of the town manager.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick report this evening, not in my written report. We should be finalizing an employment agreement with a new code enforcement officer slash zoning administrator shortly. So we'll have that on board. The town engineering position will be ending tomorrow, so we'll start reviewing those resumes and hope to have somebody on for this summer. Next item is that on the agenda this evening for first reading is a resolution approving a consulting firm to conduct a salary survey for the town. As you know, pursuant to the town personnel policy, we're required to conduct a study of salary levels and make recommendations to the council based on the study's findings. In addition to this policy requirement, with the current market, we're finding ourselves behind on comparative pay rates. I don't know if you're aware, there are some municipalities that are offering significant signing bonuses now to fill positions such as police and firefighters. I believe Rochester has a $10,000 signing bonus, and I think I saw Northwood has a $12,000 to $15,000. So we're just trying to make sure that we're competitive in this market. We did receive 2 bids, and we'll be recommending MRI to conduct this survey this summer/fall, but that'll be for the first reading this evening. Next, I've also submitted an ordinance amendment to allow for the Department Operations policy to be reviewed and approved by the town manager. As you mentioned at the last meeting, this is consistent with other council manager form of government in the area. As I said, significant policies would come to the town council, but ones such as you need to have letters, symbols, and lowercase letters in your passwords on a computer shouldn't be coming to the council level. That's something we can do internally, so we're just going to clarify that. Finally, we did hear from New Hampshire DES, the coastal program, regarding a submission for funding to study the critical infrastructure at Moody Point. As you know, that was going to be a joint project between the Moody Point Homeowners Association and the town. Unfortunately, our submission was not selected for funding. that we had a strong project and application. It sounds like there were a lot of applications for this program. We may be eligible for funding through the NHDES Clean Water State Revolving Fund, as we do many programs. We will submit a pre-application for a stormwater planning project. There is a $100,000 principal forgiveness, so it's different from the grant, but in the end, no cost to the town. We would have to get authority to borrow, enter into a loan, and then it would be forgiven, so we'd have to wait till next spring. And that's all I have tonight, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the town manager regarding his report? Councilor Blackstone?
So is the new code enforcement just a replacement for Mike, or is it a different position?
Different position. Is now reporting to the Director of Community Development.
Right.
It'll,
yeah.
it'll be taking over zoning administrative duties from the planning that position, so they can focus on other projects. Most communities, the code enforcement officer is the zoning administrator because they're the ones who rule whether or not something complies with the zoning ordinance, and that's why they're the code enforcement officer. So they will now be overseeing that, as well as other building inspections and items like that.
Oh, I see, okay.
So that's why it's also full-time versus part-time in the past.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? I just had one, and that after hearing about the sign-on bonuses, maybe this is the wrong question to ask, but our parking enforcement officer, I know July 1,
Yeah.
but so obviously
I know.
engineered.
Yeah,
need a little
the
more
police chief is looking. He has not gotten many bites either.
Has he actually started to
I
advertise at this
believe he
point?
has
Okay.
as of last week, so
Okay.
I'll double check.
Seeing no other comments, so we will move on to committee reports. Are there any committee reports? No.
Sorry, yes.
No.
Oh, you can go first, Brian, if you'd like.
Yeah, it was just pretty short.
Okay.
Budget committee met on the 23rd. We were supposed to have a meeting by Fire Chief Mulaski, who unfortunately couldn't come because he broke his leg. We hope he gets better soon.
You shouldn't say medical issues.
Oh,
That's okay.
Sorry. Okay, but yeah, it's a pretty quick meeting. We ran over, or we did a review of right to know, and we saw that there was an increase of cost due to inflation, so it's kind of impacting everything. There's an increase in building permits in town, and it's above budget, and car registration fees are down. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you. Councilor Brayback.
Yes. Sorry, my notes aren't loading on my phone, but I'll go from what I remember. I apologize about that. But Arts and Tourism met yesterday because we had a quorum. Super exciting. There's so much energy. We elected a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary, and discussed with Amy the Arts in the Park for the summer, which will be starting July 5th and going Tuesdays through August 23rd. So Arts and Tourism will work again to bring artists as well as the bands that'll be performing. Yeah, so I'll say for now, just stay tuned there's definitely a lot of events and energy coming, and I do believe we still have at least one open spot on the committee. So if anyone out there is interested, please join. It's a really exciting time to join.
Great. Thank you. Any other committee reports? Seeing none, we will move on. So we have one ordinance in the second reading, and that is one resolution. It's Resolution 2021-2022-33, authorizing the issuance of refunding and bond for well water treatment facility, and I would accept a motion to approve that resolution.
I'll move to approve Resolution 2021-2022-33, authorizing the issuance of refunding bond for well water treatment facility.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Cool.
Thank you.
Before the Director of Finance Administration discusses it, I want to apologize for the confusion on the way the resolution looks. We're required to do it by their standards. We don't I don't know why every other city does not have to, but we do. But I'll let the Director of Finance Administration explain what's going on.
So the purpose of this is to refund a loan that was provided to us from the New Hampshire Drinking Water Groundwater Trust Fund. The loan was for up to $3.9 million, and the original interest rate was 3.38, which is, in today's world, not that great. Well, could be terrific in a couple of months, but for right now, it's still not a great interest rate. So we, as we were approaching the end of the projects, and this is for the McIntucker Well project, the new water treatment facility, Sean and I got together, and I then started calling banks and talked to the Municipal Bond Bank. And so we came up with 2.84 with Northway Bank, which was pretty darn good. And I did, as you can see in my staff report, we did speak with the bond bank. We had just done a financing with them. But when I had a firm 2.84, and I didn't have that with the bond bank, and I knew that the Open Market Committee was going to be raising rates at least once, and they weren't going to do an issuance for the bond bank until probably July. Chances were that we weren't going to get as good a rate as we'd already gotten. And to be honest, I had a little bit of a trust issue, because the last time we thought we were going to save close to $300,000 on a deal, and we ended up somewhere around $115,000. So it wasn't quite as rosy, and I was a little embarrassed. So anyhow, I all things considered, this seemed like the absolute best route, and they have been absolutely fantastic to work with. So maybe this will be the first of many in the future. We'll see. I don't know if you have any questions or not, but it's relatively cut and dried arrangement, I think.
Are there any questions? Councilor Blackstone.
Did they give us a rating?
So we, if I remember correctly, we rate as a B plus with the bond bank, but that's part of a collective.
North Bank doesn't do that. They just
No,
basically look at our financials.
Correct. I could have done that as part of this deal, but there's a lot more to it than when you're working with a rating agency. And so when I wasn't required to at this point, I held off. But on another, probably the next one we do, especially if it's of any size, I'll contact one of the rating agencies, Moody's or Standard & Poor's, and we'll move ahead that way.
Yeah, traditionally in New Hampshire, it's only the municipality to issue its own bonds, so they go up on the open bond market. Since we're not really going on the open bond market, but with such a large number,
we didn't have to.
We didn't have to.
Yeah.
Around here, it's, I believe, Portsmouth, Dover, and Durham may have bond ratings, but other than that, most go through the Municipal Bond Bank,
Right.
who compile all that together, get one rating.
Yeah, I was wondering if they maybe hit this internal mechanism where
Yeah.
they because usually the interest rate is effective at 100.
Right.
They
And
do.
Triple B is good, but it's not great.
Yeah.
Usually that information, believe it or not, is proprietary, because they have their own ways of
Yeah,
determining
right.
whether or not you're credit worthy.
Yeah.
But we are very credit worthy. We have a really good overall competency in this area, and I think it's only going to improve unless we do something crazy, which we won't.
We have very little of any debt
But
on the
as
town side.
as the town manager pointed out, if we were we wanted to go to the bond market on our own, and we could probably do better than if we went through the bond bank, we need to have a rating. So anyway, something for the future.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, if you could call the roll, please.
Council Brayback?
Aye.
Council LaMattina?
Aye.
Council Blackstone?
Aye.
Councilor Ward?
Aye.
Council Conley?
Aye.
Council Weinstein?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Next, we have two nominations to consider, and they are both for the Racial Equity, Inclusion, and Human Rights Advisory Committee for a 1-year term. And the first is for Charlotte DiLorenzo, and I would accept a motion to approve that appointment.
I'll make a motion to approve Charlotte DiLorenzo for a 1-year term on the, what's it actually called?
Racial Equity, Inclusion, and
Human rights.
Human Rights. Thank you.
That.
I'll second.
And Charlotte is here in the audience this evening. I don't know if you wanted to say anything or you just wanted to be present.
I just wanted to be present.
I like to give, when people show up, I like to give them the opportunity. And I've known Charlotte, I will say, for a long, long time, and can't think of anyone else who is more qualified in our community to serve on this committee. So thank you for your willingness to serve.
Does this committee actually exist yet, or?
No, we don't have a quorum.
Right.
So seeing no other questions or comments, if you could call the roll, please.
Council Brayback?
Aye.
Council LaMartina?
Aye.
Council Blackstone?
Aye.
Council Ward?
Aye.
Council Conley?
Aye.
Council Weinstein?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
As soon as she's sworn in, you now have one member of the committee.
We're getting there.
We're getting there.
And so the next is for Dr. Andrea, is it Bien? Bien? I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name. And for the same committee for a 1-year term on the Racial Equity, Inclusion, and Human Rights Advisory Committee, and I would accept a motion to approve that application.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
And any comments or questions about the application?
I have one question.
Sure.
Just, is there a requirement to have lived in town for any specific period of time in order to serve on a committee?
No.
Great.
And I would say another qualified candidate.
Mm.
Did you? Is that what you were going to say?
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, it seems like they have got, Dr. Bean has extensive experience in a wide variety of equity issues. I do know this person, but I would agree, they seem pretty qualified. And delighted that we're getting some wonderful people who are willing to serve.
So seeing no other comments, if you could call the roll, please.
Council Brayback?
Aye.
Council LaMartina?
Aye.
Council Blackstone?
Aye.
Council Ward?
Aye.
Council Conley?
Aye.
Council Weinstein?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
We are still looking for 5 public members of this commission. We could meet with 2 more. That's a majority of the 7, but 5 would be, full commission would be great.
I did have someone reach out about how they would apply, and I directed them to Wendy Chase. So I'll follow up because apparently she hasn't contacted you, but I'll follow up with her and see if she's still interested. Great. All right, let's see. And next we have a few resolutions in the first reading. So the first is Ordinance 1, 2021-2022.
Had to get one in by the end of the,
Yeah.
the only one this year.
That's funny.
And it's an ordinance amending Chapter 1 of the Code of the Town of Newmarket, New Hampshire, and clarifying the authority of the town manager. The Town of Newmarket ordains, 1, the purpose. The purpose of this ordinance is to clarify the town code to allow the town manager to create rules and policies for the conduct of departments. 2, amendment, and new language is in bold and language removed is struck out. Administrative organization, administrative head of the town. The town manager shall be the administrative head of the town and shall perform all the duties and have all the responsibilities prescribed by the town charter. The town manager shall be appointed in accordance with the provisions of the Newmarket Town Charter. All of that is in bold. The next two bullet points are also in bold. The town manager shall supervise the heads of all departments established by this code and shall have the power to suspend and discipline and to perform or delegate the duties and responsibilities of such department heads. 3, the town manager may prescribe such rules and regulations not inconsistent with the town charter and town ordinances as he/she may deem necessary for the conduct of the various departments, and he/she may investigate and inquire into the affairs of any department at any time. Definition of department. A department is a functional subdivision of the town government for which specific goals and tasks may be defined. Departments may be operational or budgetary. Operational departments are departments for which the head of the department reports directly to the town manager or a single purpose elected board. A budgetary department is an entity defined by the annual budget. And none of that is a change in that last paragraph. And then it takes effect. This ordinance shall take effect 14 days after passage and publication of notice as required by RSA 47:18. First reading June 1, 2022.
First
I just noticed that there's a typo. On the voting record, it still has John Kuiper.
That's probably my last time we did one.
Yeah.
It was on, so.
Thank you. And the next item is Resolution 2021-2022-34, water and sewer rate increases for FY 2023. Whereas water and sewer rates shall be determined by the town council from time to time in amounts that will adequately cover the costs of operation, maintenance, and repair of existing infrastructure, and also for reasonable extensions and replacements to existing mains, and toward acquisition of future water supply, plant, and equipment. And whereas the town of Newmarket has undertaken water projects that will improve capacity, water quality, and distribution, and whereas it is necessary to increase the water rate 50 cents a year to meet the costs associated with the water projects that the town has undertaken. Now therefore let it be resolved by the Newmarket Town Council. The Town Council does hereby approve the following water rates to be effective for the August 2022 quarterly billing. Water and sewer users will be billed $6.75 and $12.65 per 100 cubic feet of water consumed respectively. The quarterly system charge will remain at $10 per quarter for each water and sewer. First reading June 1, 2022. And the next item is, I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to read this in title only, I believe. It's almost there. Okay. Resolution 2021-2022-35. Resolution to select a vendor to conduct a salary survey and compensation study for the municipal government. I think that was a long one. Am I wrong?
It's really short.
Oh, it is short. Okay. Oh, here it is. It was just the scrolling that was long. So whereas the town manager or designee, I do have to zoom in because I can't see. So whereas the town manager or designee shall conduct a study of salary levels and shall make adjustment recommendations to the town council at least every 3 years. And whereas it has been at least 3 years since the last compensation study was completed and the administration wants to make the town competitive in the market when seeking employees for its important municipal positions. And whereas after reviewing the submitted proposals, the Director of Finance and Administration recommends the proposal submitted by Municipal Resources, Inc. Now therefore be it resolved by the Newmarket Town Council that the town manager is authorized to enter into an agreement with Municipal Resources, Inc. to conduct a salary survey and compensation study at the cost of $14,500 to be paid for with budgeted Human Resources Department FY 2023 funds. First reading June 1, 2022. the last resolution. And so the next is any correspondence to the town council. I don't believe that there was any.
Nope.
Okay. And any closing comments by councilors? Councilor Blackstone?
First of all, I'd like to say that the Rec Connect party was absolutely a great deal. It was put together by the rec department as well as the business administration, the MBA, and
Association.
And it was a great, Stone Church, I thought, did a great job. I just wanted to point out that on Saturday, June 25th, the Park and Rec is doing a garden tour from 10 to 4. You might wonder how I know that. As part of that, the Historical Society is doing a display of their garden-related items in the museum, going back to the colonial period.
Great. Thank you. Any other comments? Councilor Brayback?
I guess this is a time to bring up, we were talking about a way to trying to understand what the process would be if we wanted to put something on the agenda. How we might go about that, and if there isn't a process, it might be a topic for us to discuss at some point to create a process.
Sure, like a discussion topic?
Yeah,
or
something that's not an ordinance, it's not a resolution, but we want to set aside time to talk about something.
You could amend your rules or hold a separate workshop session.
Amend our rules.
Your rules, council rules do not allow for discussion at a regular meeting.
Right.
Oh, sorry, this power's on.
Oh. So that's what we would need to do.
Yep.
Is amend our rules. Okay. I think that maybe if I don't know if a couple counselors maybe wanted to work on looking at those. If we had two, it wouldn't be a quorum.
It is.
Oh, two?
If a council appoints people to do business on behalf of the council, that's considered a committee of the council, and they must take minutes,
All right.
no matter the number.
Or if one person wanted to suggest some language that they may change.
I was
Councilor
wondering
Blackstone.
if we could ask Steve to suggest language which would allow us to put things on the council.
I could. What I would probably recommend is that, if you want to have a general discussion on a topic, I know some communities around here do is that prior to their regular business meeting, they hold a workshop session. So it does two things. One, it doesn't extend your business portion so you can actually get the business part done. And two, it limits the amount of the workshop session so it doesn't keep going on for hours. So instead of because we barely have non-public sessions. And that'd be probably an option is have the discussion prior to a meeting. And all we do is schedule a workshop right before a council meeting. And so you have the business and a council meeting.
Would it make sense to have, do you think, a regularly scheduled workshop meeting like that so that we
The only
be
problem
on people's radar and not on people's calendars? Or
the only problem there is, are you going to create issues that don't exist?
right.
Well, how hard is it to amend it to allow us to have something on the agenda?
But like I said, the reason why you don't put it in the business portion of the meeting, because you have business to get to, and you have to vote on items during that. And workshop sessions can go on because of just they're more free flowing. And so that's why I was suggesting having that's why there is a separate workshop from your business meeting. And if you have the ability to discuss topics and bring up ideas in a workshop session, what I would suggest is if you have a workshop topic, we can bring it up like at 6 o'clock and go in. We can even change the start of the business meeting to 7:30 if it's a long topic, or if it's something very long, we can bring it to a different night. That way, you can focus on it and give it time. Where in a business meeting, you may have a full house of staff here, and all of a sudden you're discussing some topic that has nothing to do with the entire staff that will be sitting here all night, and you want to get the business done because that's the voting portion of it, and it will hold things up. Because that's why they have we have two separate types of meetings. Most communities do have that as well. they have a workshop and a business portion.
And in Newmarket, that's how it
we
used
have
to
it.
be. It
We
used to be one workshop. Like maybe the first
Right.
meeting of the month was a workshop, and the second meeting was a business, and
It got
switched
so-
it because it would take a long time
Right.
to get work for resolutions to be voted on.
Right. It would be up to 2 months.
Yeah.
But if there's a workshop topic, that's all we have to do is if there's something the council wants to have a workshop on, I would say we'd like to have a workshop. We can, if it's gonna be a long one, we could say, look, we'll do it on an off Wednesday. If it's gonna be a quick one, just a quick discussion, we can do it at 6:30 on a 5:30 on the right before meeting. So you don't have to come out twice.
I think that makes sense.
So we don't have to amend the rules, it's already there.
Okay. Oh, then that's perfect.
How do we go about requesting a workshop?
Any counselor and the council votes to have a workshop.
Okay. I would like to make a request for a workshop.
Okay.
Back in April, we got a note from the Historical Society, and we haven't done anything with that. I'd like to have a workshop where we could invite Carmichael in, or Provost, or whatever, just for them to talk about that note that they sent, and see where the council wants to go with that, and maybe the planning board should be at that. I don't know.
I believe the planning board's already addressing it. I'm talking with you. They've got it on their radar, but that's why it went to the planning board, is because they need to propose the amendment to the ordinance before we do it.
My understanding was the planning board said, well, the town council doesn't want to do anything with this, so they don't want to do anything with it.
Yeah, which I recorded.
Okay. Then my suggestion would be have a quick one with Carmichael, and then recommend the planning board yay or nay on passing it. I don't think it's difficult to get a huge committee here every time, as the chair knows. To have to joint sessions, we don't usually do, because 2 reasons. One, you're the town council, and you should be making the policy for the town, and make the recommendation to the planning board, and they can make it back. But it's just difficult to get the time that everybody can be there. So I would suggest that we have a workshop at 6:30 before the next meeting, or the one in July.
I think in July.
Yeah.
Because we'll have a non-public at our next
Yeah.
meeting.
So a meeting to discuss our, to review that topic and discuss any recommendation we would want to make to the planning board. That makes sense to me.
But I think the reason why we do this is because if you just put a topic out there, it's just and that was the other problem we had workshop sessions with the council scheduled. You got bogged down. You got lost in minutia, which isn't. That's why it's the department heads recommend policies or suggestions to the council, and the council then reviews it, which it doesn't stop the council from doing the other way around. But when Council Weinstein remembers those nights that they would be until 11:30 because of the workshop session topics. It doesn't do anybody any good. Plus, the council rules don't allow you to meet past 9. So, to get into that minutia details, it's sort of like the council say, "Yeah, we agree on this." Have staff or another committee bring it back to us, and then we'll work on it that way, or a subcommittee of the council. It's just it doesn't get the work done of the council by having workshops during the council meetings. So we can do that though.
So plan at our meeting in July.
Yep.
Would you invite Mr. Carmichael?
Yep, that's what we do.
Yeah. Excellent.
And I think that's the other thing, is understand that if that's a role of the council, then I do that on behalf of the council, or Wendy will do it on behalf of the council. Yeah.
Sending the invite, you mean?
Yeah.
Great. Well, problem solved. Are there any other closing comments? Seeing none, our next meeting is June 15th? 14th. What's our next meeting? June 15th. And so seeing no other comments, I will consider us adjourned.